Hi guys, and first of all, before I want to start, let me just apologize for my voice. I've been a little bit sick over the last couple of days, and whenever I get a cold, I always lose my voice. But anyway, I wanted to give this a go, so let's see what I can do. What do I have here for you? I've got here the CCZ Melody, the 2023 version, and I've got here the CCZ BC02, also known as the Symbol. That's a 1+1 hybrid. This is a single dynamic. These are, well, this one is a brand new IEM from CCZ. That one, they're not so much. That one, there is actually a continuation of what they started out a couple of years ago when they first came out in 2020, 2021, which was the Emerald, what I have here. Oops, let me see if I can focus on this. Okay, this is the, no, focusing, please. Yes, there we go, the Melody, okay. And this is the original Melody. Okay, all right. The interesting thing about be it the original and the original Emerald or Melody and even the new one is the fact that the BA doesn't sit in the actual nozzle. If let me see if I can actually show it to you. Contrary to what is many times the practice just at this lower price level, the BA actually sits there. You can just there we go. Oops. Hope you guys can just see it. Apologize for my fingers. There we go, that's the BA there, okay? It actually sits next to the driver, which is something that we've also seen, for example, in the KEEPHIFI. They've also done the same thing. Although in the KEEPHIFI, compared to the Melody, and now let me just actually grab here the current one, the KEEPHIFI sounds darker. I actually prefer this to the Pecker, and I actually think this is better value. The Pecker, I think, was a little bit, I'm not going to say excessively priced, but it wasn't priced according to what it's capable of doing or what its performance is and what is available from other 1+1s. Anyway, in terms of the overall shape, normal standard shape, fits nicely, not a heavy IM, nothing really that can be criticized there. You can see the driver inside. Let's see if you can see the BA again. There we go, see the BA there, all right. The cable obviously is not the stock cable. The stock cable is, an acceptable cable for what it is, I guess. I mean, we are talking under $20. The tips are cool in that they have this. Let's see if I could maybe try and focus here. It's not going to be easy. Let me see if I can do it like this. You see, there we go. The tips they have are these tips which were also developed by them, which have like this kind of ridge at the end. They actually work quite nicely, although I did prefer my trusted KB07, so they just work wonders with my ears and with the majority of the IEMs that I like. So in terms of its physical aspect, it's fine. It suits my ears perfectly, no issues. It's not a heavy IEM, so it's not going to get fatiguing in that aspect. It looks the part. It's a plastic shell, but it looks decent. I like this emerald color. It actually doesn't look too bad. That's it. So in terms of sound, what can I say about the emerald? Well, the emerald, sorry, the Melody. What can I say? This is a V-shaped IEM, period. The same, very much like the Symbol as well. So this has got a lot of bass, I would say Rose Finch, KBE Rose Finch kind of levels of bass. And then, they've added the BA to kind of counteract or keep up with that amount of bass. The initial pin again is not excessive. About 10 dBs, but then it does carry on increasing a little bit more and goes just above 10 dBs. But the BI then does have and does give its energy that where it's needed and does make itself known that it's there. What does that mean? It means that at lowered volumes, yes, it is a nice IEM to actually listen to. It's loads of fun, loads of, there's not it's not, because of the bass that it has, it's not an IEM that's going to be super clear and you hear all the details, no, but it's a fun IEM. So if you like listening to EDM, I guess some rock as well would be good, but some EDM, some high energy music, this would be a good IEM for that. Vocals are obviously recessed, as can be expected. More so, the female well, they're both about the same. They're recessed about the same. I would just say that the male vocals actually sound maybe slightly darker than what they should sound, and that's all just down again to the amount of bass that is present. As for the bass, the mids and the treble, well, the mids I've talked about, the treble I've just mentioned as well. It's fine. It's got enough detail. If it's not more present, it's because it has to be pushed to keep up with the bass, and that brings with it also then its negative aspects, which is you notice that BA timbre and can get fatiguing once you start cranking the volume. As for the bass is fun. It's not the fastest bass. It's a little bit I'm not going to say sluggish, not the right word, but it's a fat bass. It's nice. It's got a good decent slam, decent cleanliness, a resolution to it. It's for what it. For what it was designed to be. I think it's fine. There's nothing really wrong, and I can't just sit now and criticize it and say that it's too much. No, for what it was designed to be, it's fine. Obviously, then in terms of its technicalities, it's not gonna shine. With this amount of bass, you're not going to have a crazy detailed retrieval. You're going to have just adequate. You're not going to have a lot of imaging capabilities. It's just adequate again. Soundstage a little bit on the closed inside. They've tried to counteract that with the BA giving it that energy to kind of make the sound as wide as possible. But you notice that it's not a wide sounding IM. And that's it. Compared to the two IMs that I chose, and which are obviously there could be a few more other OnePlus but we are talking $19 here, so I wanted to keep it at that price range. I've got the S-Core Adonis, OnePlus One as well, about $18, so about the same thing. And I've got the other KZ Krila. The Adonis, again, and very much like its brother, it's kind of fallen a little bit under it's got a little bit under the radar, and it's a nice IM. Look at this. It's got a nice designed faceplate. It looks the part, although it's like a kind of a normal shell, but it looks the part. 10mm DD driver as well. The BA sits on the nozzle this time around, and that obviously brings with it its negatives, which is you notice that BA is very present, more so than you do on the Melody. However, for some reason, because of the fact that the bass isn't as pronounced, the balance that you are able to strike in the sound of bass, mids and treble up to a certain volume is nicer overall than on the Melody. I guess, yes, you could say that the Melody is more fun and engaging. I'll give it that much. But then this one does show itself to be slightly more proficient in the technicalities aspect. So the soundstage does sound a little bit bigger. The imaging is slightly better. The detailed retrieval is better. Now, once you start pushing the volume, that one there is able to scale better than this one scales, and this one can become then a little bit aggressive. But then again, it's like I said, this is $19 or $18, so you can't really complain. This is one of the IMs I chose, and the other one is the KZ Krila, about $15 again, a OnePlus One. It's got the tuning switches, which actually do work, and they do change the sound profile enough. Very nice construction, and in the build of the excuse me, the build of the Krila is really nothing to that you can't complain about. BA sits as well there, kind of in the nozzle, in next to the driver kind of thing. It's like an in between. It's not it's not as deeply inserted into the nozzle as usually is the case. And what more can I say about the Krila? Of the three, it's definitely the more balanced sounding. The fact that it has the switches, and the switches allow for us to play around with the bass, makes it then provide a sound which is more coherent. It's like I said, it's just more balanced. Ultimately, in terms of fun, will the Melody still edge it out? Perhaps, yes, I would say that the Melody will perhaps still edge it out, but the truth is this will be more genre versatile, while that will be more genre specific. This you can listen to some jazz, you can listen to some classical even, you can listen to some good female vocals. This will be very versatile in terms of the music genres that it can play. Yes, again, you do notice the BA timbre slightly. Yes, again, you do notice that there's a BA and a DD, very much like the other two as well, mind you. But of the three, it's in my opinion, it's the better IM overall. Not only is it the cheapest, so a plus point there. Then it's got the tuning switches, which make it more versatile than the other two, so 2 points for it. And then the overall sound that it has is just more versatile. It's just a more satisfying sound, because it can take on so many genres of music and actually do a good job of it, while the other two will be slightly more genre specific. In that aspect, I would even say that the Melody is the most genre limited. Okay, so overall, what can I say? I mean, it's a nice IEM, it's decent, but it doesn't really bring anything extra over its original ones from 2 or 3 years ago. I think, considering the current market, maybe they could have tried a slightly different tuning to make it really stand out and shine, and maybe even compete against something like the Krila in a more prominent manner. So I'm not going to say yes, go out and buy it. No, I would say go and listen to the various OnePlus at under $20 or up to $20 if that's what your budget allows, and then decide. I mean, personally, me, I'd go for the Krila, but that's just me. On to the Symbol, the BC02, and for the Symbol, I've brought out the CVJ TXS, which is also under $20. I brought out here the KZ, the DFI, the non-switch version, okay? And I've got here the KZ, the Castor. I've got here 2 options from KZ. What then can I say here about the BC02, and what is special about the BC02? Well, what's special about the BC02 is it uses a CNT driver, but that CNT driver is the driver of, and now brace for it, it's the same driver as used in the Blonde BL03. Yes. So what does that mean? Well, it means that in its stock tuning, there is hints of the BL03's tuning, in that yes, we have a nice big bass shelf, but less, well, when I say bass shelf, bass bump, bass shelf, whatever you want to call it, a little bit less than the Melody though. And then it's got those peaks that somehow, like the Blonde also had, around 2, around 4.5, and then some extension after that. It is a interesting sounding IM at lower volumes, as it is. And this is the perfect example of how a shell, because the Blonde shell obviously is metal and this is plastic, and this is the perfect example of how a shell can change very much the sound that a driver has, and can complicate more even when you want to tune it. Again, I think the biggest drawback here on the Symbol is that instead of wanting to try and make an IM that, since it is using such a competent driver, that would stand out in terms of its tuning and be capable of competing very seriously in the under $20 market, they've opted for a more old school type of tuning, like I said. So you got loads of bass like on the Melody, and then you got these peaks in the mid-range and upper mids, and then extension past that. It makes for a sound, like I said, that is interesting and engaging at lower volumes. But then when you start pushing it, the way that it scales, those peaks that are prominent or that are there, they show themselves more, and so it becomes quite fatiguing. I will give it that compared to the Melody, the bass does sound as deep but tighter, cleaner, more detailed, but still maintaining almost the same impact and depth that the Melody does have. I will also give this the fact that in terms of at lower volumes, it does have a little bit more presence in terms of the male vocals and female vocals. It doesn't sound as pronounced V-shaped as the Melody does. And there's more detailed retrieval, there's better imaging at lower volumes. Again, once you start pushing the volume, things just go out of whack and lose their composure because of the way that it was tuned. Compared to the TXS and compared to the DFI and the Castor, it ends up losing at the end of the day, because those have been tuned in a more competent manner. Okay. The TXS, I mean, okay, in terms of its beauty or looks, it doesn't look the part, it doesn't. But the way they've actually tuned this single DD here is quite interesting. It's got a tuning which is very reminiscent of the Celeste Wyvern. It's got a tuning that's very similar to the EPZ G10, with a little bit more bass than those two. But it's got an interesting tuning, a thick sound. It's got a thick bass, but it's nice, it's engaging, it's clean. And the thing here which actually makes it stand out compared to the Symbol is the fact that when you start pushing the volume, it actually seems to improve. It scales better than not the TXS scales better than the Symbol. It doesn't lose its composure like the Symbol does at higher volumes. It doesn't become, you know, sibilant like the Symbol becomes, and that is above all the biggest thing that makes it become a better choice ultimately. Obviously the looks, you know, it's up to you. It does have the tuning switches as well, although they do very little. I'll be honest, they don't do much compared to the DFI. The DFI is just a better IM, as there are, you know, stock tuning as they are. This is just a better IM. It's got that nice big typical KZ bass with very well done mids, upper mids and treble. Very well done. And with the KB ears 07s or the BGVP wide bores, this thing sounds phenomenal. I can understand the beauty of the DFI, the switched version, and the reasons why people would go for that. But me personally, I still think this is the better of those two. And compared to the Symbol, it is a better IM. This is definitely a better IM. And then finally, the caster, the base edition. Okay, not fair because it's two drivers, that's just one. But the reality is this costs $15. And when you got this costing $15, going up against these two, which are around $20, this is straight away the best choice. The switches, they work wonders for the signature. They've got this. It's got this nice, big, thick, tucked bass. Honestly, the caster is a phenomenal IM. The caster and the KZ caster and the CCA Polaris, for me, in my opinion, are currently probably two of the best IMs that KZ has, especially when you consider price and performance that they can offer. This at under $20, it's unbelievable. Honestly, it's unbelievable. And this, it's not me shilling it's just the reality. I think, you know, all things apart and all things aside with regards to KZ and the issues that sometimes happen, the truth is this is a well-tuned IM and it plays very well. It plays better than the Symbol. At any volume level, more detailed retrieval, better resolution, better soundstage, everything. It's just a more well-rounded IM. Okay. Now, having said that, and kind of seeming like this has been a bloodbath for both the Melody and for the Symbol, there is a redeeming factor here on the Symbol. There is something here that I will say that the Symbol is worthwhile doing, which is this is an IM that it's worthwhile tuning. I have already tuned this one. Okay, I have already retuned it, as you can kind of see there by the filter, and retuned. This is way better than the TXS. This is better than the DFI non-switch, and this is as good, if not maybe even slightly better than the caster. And why? Because retuned the way I've done it, I've been able to get the sound like I got from my Bloxygen, if you guys remember my review, which was I retuned the Blonde to kind of try and emulate as much as possible the sound of the Tanstrom Oxygen, but with the extra bass that many complained was lacking. And that's basically what I've got here. I've got here an IM which has got very much the same signature up top as the Oxygen, okay, with the added extra amount of bass, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. I just honestly don't understand why they didn't do this from the get-go, because if they had tuned it in the way that it's tuned here, this would now probably be one of the go-to IMs under $20 without question. Okay, without question, it is a very, very nice sounding IM retuned. And I think just on that basis alone, if you are those people that like to, you know, play around and tinker and so on and so forth, I think that just based on that, I think it's definitely worthwhile getting it. If you don't want to play around with it and you want to leave it stock and so on, then I'm sorry to say, but there are better options in that these two are significantly better. This one is also better, but these two are definitely the caster especially is the more wise IM to go for. All right. Anyway, guys, I'll show you now the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section for the BC02, the Symbol, and also the CCZ Melody. Anyway, I'll start first with the Symbol. This is the graph of the Symbol here. Okay, this is the graph of the Symbol. So we're talking about roughly 12 dB spin again. Okay, that peak there around 2 and then 4.5. These peaks kind of help counteract the amount of bass that you have. I mean, we're talking roughly 12 dBs of bass as well, pin again. We have then this dip here, which is more of a product of the actual tip than anything else, and then extension past 10k. Okay, this is how the symbol, the BC02, comes stock format. All right, and like I said, you know, it's got loads of bass which make it fun and engaging, and you know, and everything. But then this area here of the mids to upper mids makes itself very overly energetic once you start pushing the volume. At lower volumes, yes, it does help to give a little bit more atmosphere, a little bit more detail retrieval, and so on and so forth. But then it kind of messes it up. As I mentioned, this shares the same driver as the Blonde 03, and I actually went to the trouble of buying a brand new Blonde BL03 2023 version. And as you can see straight away, the bass is exactly the same. On the Blonde, they've just tuned it to be slightly more tame on the mids, upper mids, and treble, and then given it that little extra boost of extension past 10k. All right, so that's the Blonde stock format, Blonde 03 current version. All right, now what did I do? Like I mentioned as well, I retuned my my BC01 to see where I could get it to, and this is what I got. So the green line is the BC01 retuned. All right, a better executed pin gain. We're talking now about a gain of around 9 dBs, starting to drop off. This is a coupler related thing, and insertion of the tip into the actual coupler. It's the peak there is at 8, and then extension past 10k. This is a completely different sounding IM. Trust me when I say that. Completely different. The fact that I've lowered it doesn't seem like a much of a drop here in the mid bass. The fact that I've dropped the mid bass here just this little bit opened up completely the mids, upper mids, and treble at any volume level. But somehow the balance that is struck doesn't lose any of that weight that you have. All right, and just for you to see what I mean by it sounds really good, let me take away this for a second, the stock one, and let me show you here the Bloxygen, which is my interpretation of where is it now? My interpretation of the Blonde 03, trying to be kind of like the Oxygen. There we go, number 10. That's it. That's the Bloxygen. All right. Slightly a little bit more bass, a little bit more. I've skewed things on purpose this way. I had it before at the same level as on the BC02. It was on the same as the green. I just skewed it to give it a little bit more bass because I just like the balance like that. So I've ended up with basically an IM which is very similar to the Tanstrom, and for the sake of comparing it with the Tanstrom so that you guys can see that I'm not trying to take you for a ride here, let me get here the Tanstrom, and I'm actually going to get, where is it, Tanstrom Oxygen, my apologies, Tanstrom Oxygen, this one I believe, there we go, that's a Tanstrom Oxygen. Okay, Tanstrom Oxygen. I don't really think I need to prove anything more. I think this is sufficient proof for me to reiterate what I said. Just based on this alone, I think the BC02 is worthwhile buying and then performing the mod that I did, because this is the sort of performance that you can get out of it. All right. Anyway, guys, that's enough of that. Let me compare now the stock symbol with then the TXS from CVJ. Very similar bass levels. It's just the balance that is struck then between that and the pin again being a little bit low, higher up in the frequency range, and then the way that they've also kind of kept it at around 10 dBs of pina just makes it for a nicer sounding IM overall. Okay, so that's against the TXS. Against the KZ, the DFI The non-switch version, it's this one here. Again, same situation, very nicely tuned. If anything, if you actually look at it carefully, it kind of reminds you look, it's basically become the same, and I've actually just put up the graphs you guys can see. This is the retuned symbol, the BC02 retuned versus the DFI, all right? And you can see that they are exactly the same tuning, but the BC does sound a little bit more detailed up top. It does. There's more detail up top there. All right. So going again. Yeah, that's it. And then finally against the caster with all the switches down, so no bass emphasis, no nothing. Let me just take away all that there. And finally against the caster. There we go. The caster. It's not this bump here that spoils things, because if we are going to say, oh, but then the bass, it's spoiled. Trust me, because it's so tucked the way it is done, it actually, and you have enough energy from the mids and upper mids and treble, it actually sounds very, very engaging. It sounds really, really good, the caster. If you haven't heard it, you got to give it a try. All right. So this is the CCZ, the BC02, the Symbol. Okay, this is now the Melody. Let me just take away some of the graphs that are here so we can see things better. So the Melody is this graph here. Monstrous amounts of bass, monstrous. I mean, this is like a KBE Rose Finch type of bass, all right? I mean, it's self-explanatory. I really don't think I need to explain. When compared to the when I compare it to the BC02, the Symbol, you can see straight away what I was mentioning earlier. More bass, definitely, okay, to kind of be then counteracted to a certain extent by the BA doing its work up here, up top. The pin again is better executed and it's not as prominent, okay. It just gets smothered by the excessive amount of bass, which then, you know, just shuts down everything. When I compare one and the other, the Melody compared to the Symbol hasn't got as much vocal capabilities. The Symbol is way better in that aspect. But then you've also got the BA, which, although noticeable, it is able to make things sound a little bit more balanced out in terms of at higher volumes, not being as aggressive, okay? But it's like I said, I think it's self-explanatory. It's a very big, very thick sounding IEM that, you know, it's obviously then going to be limited technically. Compared then to the two IEMs that I selected, the Escort, the Adonis, way less bass on the Adonis. I mean, in terms of the bass and how it's executed on the Adonis, it's perfect in my opinion, absolutely perfect. What then you notice on the Adonis is that it's when you start pushing the volume, this area of the upper mids and treble becomes more prominent. You notice more that BA, and that's what makes it kind of ultimately lose out slightly. Of the two, which is the more competent up to that level of volume, I would still say the Adonis. The Adonis is still the more competent, the more genre versatile. I mean, the way that it's been done up to, let's say, 3K, in my opinion, is very well done. There's really nothing that you can say there. Okay, you could argue that the pin again is a little bit excessive as well, but it's very well done. The Adonis actually sounds very, very competent, okay? And then compared to the Krila, I mean, the Krila by comparison sounds dead. And when you listen to it, yes, you'll say, the bass is a little bit on the shy side, there could be a little bit more bass. And I'm not going to argue that. Yes, you could argue that a little bit more bass wouldn't have been a bad thing. But overall, the balance that is being struck is very nice in terms of its vocal capabilities, its technical capabilities. The Krila is very, very well executed, in my opinion. Yes, you notice the BA and so on, but look, the reality is this: everything sits within a window of 10 dBs. Okay, and actually 8 dBs if I'm going to be looking at the mids and upper mids. So in terms of being the more correct sounding of the two, definitely the Krila is the more correct sounding IM. In terms of overall fun, okay, fine, I can give that to the Melody, but you know, it's what do you want? Do you want fun, or do you want it to be competent across a wide variety of genres? All right. Anyway, guys, this has been my take here on the CCZ brethren, the BC02 and the Melody. I hope it was self-explanatory, and like I said earlier, BC02, the Symbol, definitely worthwhile getting if you like to play around, if you like to retune and so on, because you can make this baby sound really good. All right. Anyway, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me. Take care now. Bye bye.